you played a great game today. You threw out 3 batters. Unbelievable. You were awesome out there.
Yeah, whatever.
Something's really bothering Michaela. I've never seen her so down. Wait up, Michaela.
I give up. I'm just going to quit.
What, playing softball? The team needs you. You're one of the best players.
No, I mean being a Christian. Being on the softball team is wearing me down spiritually. I try to be a good example. Some of my teammates are supposed to be Christians, but no one would know it. I hear them curse and call people terrible names. I've heard that so much I couch myself thinking and almost saying those things too. Maybe I should just start acting like them.
Michaela, you can't give up. You're such a good example. Hey, we have a youth giver tonight. Maybe you should talk to Mr. Steve about how you feel.
What's the point?
Discussing it might help some of us too.
Okay, I'll go.
All right, let's sit down and get started. I thought we would do something a little different at this Steve-Up. Are any of you going through something you don't mind talking about in front of everyone? If you're struggling with something, most likely someone else is too. This is a good time to search the scriptures for answer and help.
Michaela, you should totally raise your hand.
Michaela, is there something you'd like to talk about?
Yes, she does.
Okay, fine. I'm a failure at being a Christian.
Michaela, why would you say such a thing?
I try to be the best example I can. I talk to my non-Christian friends about Jesus, but it seems most of them don't care. Some of those who are Christians show bad sportsmanship, curse, call people terrible names, and cheat whenever they can get away with it. Do you see where I'm coming from? It's so hard to be a Christian when surrounded by these things.
You know, Michaela, we were never told the Christian life would be easy. Did the prophets, apostles, and disciples have it easy being Christians? They had to be strong and courageous.
How are they strong and courageous?
The Bible is full of God's people who are strong and courageous. For just a few minutes, let's talk about 3 who are strong and courageous: Elijah, David, and Paul.
Why did you say that? You know I hate talking in front of people.
I was just trying to help you.
Well, it kind of didn't.
Welcome everyone to the Strong and Courageous Honoree Ceremony. I am John. Tonight we have 3 numerous children of God who went through some very rough times, but showed strength and courage. Our first honoree is someone we all are familiar with. The odds were against him 450 to 1. Everyone, please welcome Elijah.
Hello everyone, thank you. It's great to be here.
Elijah, please tell us the story about you versus the 450 prophets of Baal.
John, it was God and me against 450. You see, I needed to prove to everyone that the God of Israel was the one and only God. The challenge was for the God to send fire down on the altar and burn up the sacrifice without anyone setting fire to it.
Wow, that was some challenge. What happened next?
I let the prophets of Baal go first. Even though Baal's prophets prayed hard and started cutting themselves, Baal did nothing. This went on until the time for the evening sacrifice. Then it was my turn. I had the altar rebuilt and dug a ditch around it. Then I had water poured on the altar. Now this is just 1 bucket of water. It was enough water to soak everything and fill the ditch around it. I then prayed to the God of Israel, and he sent fire from heaven. Not only was the sacrifice burned up, but all the water dried up too.
That was really awesome.
Yes, that was awesome, but
But what, Elijah?
I let the evil Queen Jezebel knew I had her prophets killed. Later, I found out she wanted me dead. Fearing for my life, I went away and sat under a broom tree. I told God I had enough. Just take my life away right now. I was feeling all alone, and God told me there are still 7,000 people in Israel that worship Him. How could I ever doubt that God was always with me?
That is a lot to remember. Thank you, Elijah, for being a strong and courageous example for us.
Praise be to God.
Our next honoree had been a simple young man who took care of his father's sheep, wrote numerous songs, sang for a king, and became a great warrior at a very young age. Let's all welcome David.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
David, please tell us a little bit about how you were strong and courageous.
You all know I took care of my father's sheep, making sure they had enough food and water. Once I caught a lion and a bear that wanted to kill one of my sheep. Do you remember when Israel was at war with the Philistines? And the Philistines had a challenger that stood about 9 feet 6 inches tall? You all know who I'm talking about.
Goliath!
Yeah, that's him. Everyone in the Israelite army was afraid to sit up against that one Philistine. I told Goliath, the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. With God as my guide, and the use of one stone and sling, Elias was delivered to the Israelites. God gave me strength and courage to defeat the enemy.
Thank you, David, for that encouraging story. Now we have one more example of being strong and courageous. Paul, aka Saul, come on up.
Thank you for allowing me to tell part of my story.
Paul, tell us about some of your journey as a Christian.
As soon as I was converted, I started teaching about Jesus. I found out that Jews wanted to kill me. So with the disciples' help, I escaped to Damascus. I went to Jerusalem to be with the disciples, but they were afraid of me. I tried to let them know I had been converted, but they didn't believe or trust me. But how could I blame them? After all, I had so many Christians killed or put in prison. As a new Christian, I felt alone. But Barnabas stepped up and took me to the apostles so I could tell the story of my conversion. After that, the disciples started to accept me, but the challenge didn't get any easier. Numerous times I was put in prison, shipwrecked, beaten, and threatened with death.
Kill it! Wow, how did you manage to survive all that?
I always look to God for guidance and strength. With God's help and other favorite qualities, I fought the good fight and finished the course.
Another great story, Paul. Thank you for being a strong and courageous example for us. If anyone in our audience wants to be strong and courageous, your trust, faith, obedience must be in God. He will make it happen. God never promised it would be easy, but that it is possible. Thank you for joining us today.
Wow, that was some great story.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thanks for bringing me.
You're welcome.
You see, Michaela, God is able to give you strength and courage. With Bible study and friends like Dave, you can be strong and courageous too. You're never alone, and we all are here for you. Galatians 6:2 tells us that we need to help each other out when we're in trouble or struggling. Matthew 28:20 tells us that Jesus will never leave us, that He will always be by our side when we need Him.
That's right. We can help each other wherever we are.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen, everyone. I feel much better. I won't forget that God and you guys are always there for me. Please pray that I'll be strong and courageous.
Now that sounds better, Michaela.
We all need to be strong